Southward from London, 0 degrees longitude stretches over the English Channel and then through France. Spain, the Mediterranean Sea, over another leg of Spain and back into the Mediterranean Sea. Along this span, Bordeaux in France and Valencia in Spain bore the initial brunt of the event in their respective countries. But unlike the situation in London, 0 degrees longitude falls just east of those two cities. So rather than bisecting them, both metropolitan areas were completely demolished in the same manner as the English capital within moments of inception. In each case, therefore, there was no immediate support network directly to the east, and the entire infrastructure had been removed in an instant, with no prior warning. More than 1 million urban dwellers and 2 million more in their extended metropolitan areas fell naked into a Stone Age equivalent world, filled with the dead and injured, and with no means of protecting clothing or feeding themselves, much less assisting others. The meridian ran more than 30 kilometers to the east of what had been the city center of Bordeaux, and without any means of communication, there was no way to know that safety lay in that direction. Panic quickly ensued, exacerbated by the dissolution of the 3 major psychiatric hospitals that surrounded the downtown. Though this report strives to include only descriptions of specific scenarios witnessed firsthand by those who had experienced them, from time to time it serves to diverge from that restriction to outline the larger narratives in play that day. Therefore, in order to understand the extraordinary forces that worked against our response to the disaster, for a moment imagine yourself as one of the citizens of Bordeaux, instantly surrounded by a barren landscape, absent of all familiar landmarks, feeling in a very real sense as if you had been transported to another planet. No resources, no sense of what to do, no explanation of what had happened. And then, in scant moments when the initial shock wore off, to realize you were surrounded by heaps and mounds of writhing, screaming people. And even if you were uninjured or even at home, your spouse might be at work, your children at school, your mother at the care center, you had no idea how to get to them or to check on them. No idea what was going on, and no way of finding out. Returning to eyewitness accounts in Valencia, the situation was even worse, though that seems beyond imagining. Like London, Valencia was built by the Romans and had become Spain's 3rd largest city. 3 times the size of Bordeaux, and generated more than half the GDP of the country through its port, at which the entire infrastructure had just vanished. Boats, trucks, trains, planes and cars had ceased to be in an instant, and thousands of people were plunged into the water, both near and very far from shore. The event line was more than 20 kilometers east of the coast, so not only was there little hope for those in distress, but no rescuers from the safe side could reach them. Those few ships in the area that tried crossed the line and sank, adding to the tragedy. Incredibly, a few strong swimmers were able to make their way to ships in the safe zone or back to shore toward the west, which did not substantially improve their situation. Valencia was also home to Spain's largest prison at Picassent, and in that community to the south of the city center, inmates and guards without uniforms to identify them mingled with each other and eventually with the general population. There were several reports of violent attacks there on uninjured survivors, which may have been perpetrated by those whose mindless rage had caused them to be incarcerated in the first place.